So what if an entire country's future hinged on just one single number? And what if that number was, well, falling off a cliff? Today, we're jumping right into Singapore's huge demographic crisis, the government's massive plan to fix it, and, you guessed it, the internet's completely wild reaction to the whole thing. Let's get into it. To really break this all down, we've partnered up with our friends at DailyPulseSG. They've been digging into all the data and tracking the online conversation to help us really understand what's at stake for the nation. Okay, let's just start with this number. Just take a look. 0.87. It looks so small, right? Almost abstract. But this one tiny figure is sending absolute shockwaves through Singapore, forcing some of the biggest questions the country has ever had to face. So what in the world does it actually mean? Well, it's the total fertility rate, or TFR for short. Now, just to keep a population from shrinking, you need a TFR of about 2.1. Singapore just hit a historic all-time low of 0.87. Folks, that's not just a dip. That is a full-on demographic freefall. And this isn't just some abstract problem about empty hospital wings. A TFR this low completely flips a country's future on its head, creating something called an inverted pyramid. And believe me, it looks pretty scary when you actually see how it works. Okay, so check this out. For every 100 people living in Singapore today, at this rate, the next generation will only have 44 people. And the generation after that, just 19. Think about that. You go from a thriving, bustling society to, well, a much, much quieter one in just 2 generations. So here's the bottom line. We're talking about the actual citizen population starting to shrink within the next 20 years. That means fewer workers, fewer taxpayers, a smaller military, and a massive strain on the younger generation to support a rapidly aging population. It is, no exaggeration, an existential challenge. So, faced with this pretty stark reality, the government has put its plan on the table, and it's a direct, numbers-focused strategy designed to plug that demographic hole. And they are not beating around the bush. As the Deputy Prime Minister Gan Kim Yong put it, helping parents is the #1 goal, but it's just not going to be enough by itself. The message is crystal clear. Immigration isn't just a nice idea, it's being presented as an absolute necessity. And here you can see the sheer scale of that plan. The government wants to bring in up to 30,000 new citizens and around 40,000 permanent residents every single year. These are massive numbers, and they're specifically designed to keep the total population from going down. Of course, the government knows this is a really delicate balancing act, so they've promised some guardrails. They're talking about maintaining the country's unique ethnic mix, making sure infrastructure like housing and public transport can handle it, and really putting more effort into integration. And on top of all that, the whole policy is up for a major review by 2030. Okay, so that's the official plan. But while the government is talking about careful management and pragmatic numbers, the public conversation online is, well, it is something else entirely. You've got this huge divide. On one side, you have the clinical, careful language of government policy. And on the other side, raw, emotional fears about identity, competition for jobs, and this idea of a foreign village effect, where locals start to feel like they're outsiders in their own neighborhoods. And this anxiety just explodes online in this incredibly unique, cynical, but hilarious way. People are saying, forget the baby bonuses, we need real Singaporean solutions. Like, how about a lifetime pass from paying for the ERP, the city's road tolls, for every kid you have? I mean, just imagine that. And the ideas get even more pointed, hitting right at the heart of every Singaporean parent's biggest anxieties. They're asking for the ultimate prize for being kiasu, that's the local term for the fear of losing out, a guaranteed spot in a top-tier school. You do that, and the national birth rate might just solve itself overnight. And then there's my personal favorite, the suggestion to turn having children into a gacha system, like those random prize draws in video games. The thinking is, if you gamify it, offer random amazing rewards, Singaporeans will confirm plus chop, that's Singlish for absolutely 100%, start trying. It's hilarious, but it tells you so much about the local culture. But let's be real. Underneath all the jokes and the memes is a genuine deep-seated anxiety. It's this fear of losing the Singaporean core, that shared identity and culture that makes Singapore, Singapore. So all of this brings us right to the heart of the matter. Singapore is truly standing at a crossroads, And it's being forced to choose between two very, very different kinds of futures. It's like a national tug of war. On one end of the rope, you have the cold, hard, unavoidable math of that 0.87 number. Pulling back is the government's plan, which is honestly a logical and pragmatic response. But the anchor holding everything in the middle? It's that powerful, emotional worry from everyday citizens about what all this change really means for who they are.
And that leaves us with this one final massive question. The numbers point to a path for demographic survival, sure, but it's a path that requires huge social change. So can Singapore pull it off? Can it import the people it needs for its future without losing the very soul of what it means to be Singaporean today? That's the billion-dollar question.